over here we have our fire pit that was sitting right here next to the flower bed, and they decided to toss it aside. We since have put it up on its side. They tossed it over here with these old tomato cages, and they bent the legs. This was in perfect working condition. It had a little bit of rust on it, but there was nothing wrong with the legs. And now it's uneven with the legs bent inwards. So we're going to have to replace that fire pit. We can't use it anymore because uneven things with fire in it is bad. Here, there used to be a pretty big elephant ear, and for some reason, assuming the weed whacker strikes again, they just left a tiny little bit of it. You could see where the weed whacker has damaged this here, which was part of the elephant ear. So I'm assuming they just took that out. Again, just grass and bricks and weeds laying all around. Trash, literal trash, just laying around. And right here was where my grandmother's pink flowers were. She was quite a gardener, and she had planted a bush that had pink flowers on it, and they decided to remove that too. Again, being instructed not to remove any plants, they decided to remove my grandmother's plants, which I can't replace because she has passed away. They were supposed to remove anything that was dead and keep everything else while removing the trash underneath them. What they did instead was leave lots of dead parts. There's dead here. There's dead here. Dead here. All throughout. They left dead everywhere. And, there's more dead over here. But they removed living branches, as you can see here. They cut down the living branches and left the dead parts. They folded these down, because they probably broke them with the weed whacker that they were working with there. And you can see the grass and the weeds all throughout here. Random tomato cage. Don't know why they decided to put that around there. Don't know what's happening with that. We had this little barbecue grill out here. That is, see all the trash and the broken pots and everything else in there. This little barbecue grill was out here. It had a grill on top of it, and the lid was on top of it. Now, the grill is somehow missing, and the lid is off. So I'm not sure what happened there, but now that is unusable as well. Over here, you see lots of weeds, grass, trash, more of the same. This was my grandmother, again, my deceased grandmother's calla lilies that they cut and bent so that they're broken. Fortunately, they did not remove the entire plant, but they did damage it quite a bit. If you see down here, you could see where they cut off the pieces with their tools or their weed whacker that they were using. Like this is barely attached because they were being careless in trying to cut down the weeds around here, which they didn't even do a great job doing that. Right here, where these random bricks have been put and not stacked up somewhere, not moved so they could do their job properly, there was a giant mint plant that my other deceased grandmother had given to me and I had planted and was flourishing. They decided in all of their wisdom to remove that, but to leave these weeds here, because clearly we would want the weeds, like this giant weed over here, we'd want these weeds and not the mint plant that we told them not to remove. Very smart. And there's still grass and weeds and trash all throughout. Now we've kind of gone, you see they didn't clean this up either. There's like dead vines around And they didn't clean that up so that the vine can grow and flourish. Once you remove the dead things, it can grow. But they didn't do that because that would have taken too much time. And we were only paying them $600. So we made a full circle here. I'm going to pause this and go out on the outside of the hedge so you can see the last thing. Okay, so we're on the outside of the hedge here. You can see this giant weed, this patch of crabgrass that's growing into the hedge that needed to be removed but was not. You can see that they did not trim the outside of the hedge at all here, the outside edge. We had expressed to him that it needed to be far back, set back from the driveway because it's over the driveway currently. That didn't happen, and they didn't even blow the dead leaves and trash out from underneath it. All down the driveway here because it expands the span of the driveway. It is crooked, but not quite as crooked as the inside. But I'll get closer so you can see it was barely trimmed at all on this side, when again, we spoke about taking about a foot off of each side to 1.5 feet, depending on what they needed to do. And we expressed that we wanted all of these weeds that are growing down here to be taken out once that was exposed and all of the trash cleaned up. And that was not done at any point. You can see that in most parts where it's even, it doesn't, it goes over the driveway or meets right at the driveway, which is not what we asked them for. As a marker, what we gave them was these mailboxes. When the mailboxes were installed, the pole was in front of the hedge. And so we said minimally, these poles that are back here need to be in front of the hedge. And as you can see, they're not. They're buried inside the hedge still because they did not cut off enough of the hedge that we had discussed. And again, you see the dip that comes down here around the mailboxes so they could cheat and say, see, look, the mailboxes are above the hedge, but they didn't do that same cut throughout the hedge. Needless to say, oh, thank you. Needless to say, for the amount of money that we paid, we are not very happy with what is happening. So here you'll see on the front that they didn't cut any of the front bushes because they are going pretty far over the sidewalk, which again was discussed that they needed to be set back from the sidewalk so that they could both see the weeds that they needed to take out, and you could see through the bushes here that they again didn't do anything with, and didn't trim, didn't shape, didn't cut, and didn't put that fence back up where it belongs. And they didn't touch this side of our hedge at all, as I said before. Like, this whole hedge was not touched. It's higher than all the other ones. It goes way over the sidewalk, even more so than the others because this one grows faster. It's in the shade and it tends to grow faster. And it's right up against the neighbor's fence. See, ideally, this here would all be gone because this fence is the marker of how far out it's supposed to go. And that's what we expressed and told them. So, in summation, the only thing that was done correctly were the trees that they went ahead and cut. And nothing else was done correctly or properly. They simply rushed through the job and tried to take my mom's money with a half-done job at best. Not even half-done, with 1/8 of the job finished and a butcher job on our poor hedge. Look, here's some little trash still stuck in the hedge that they clearly demonstrates that they didn't even touch it, or there wouldn't be trash inside the hedge. Ooh, here you can see how uneven it is on the outside. See that dip that goes in right there? This is just a horrible job altogether.